Chapter 89, Survivor. Is that really all we can do? Gouet asked quietly. Ryland did not look up from his work. He continued packing instruments and crystal housings into padded slots, sealing each compartment with careful precision. What else would you have us do? He asked. Everything they owned now fit inside a single transport container. Workshop, supplies, and living space all compressed into one mobile refuge. It would be their home again when they returned to Earth, whether that was in a few hours or a few days. Click Click carried the towering crates without complaint, setting them into neat rows along the curved walls of the container. The rhythmic click of his shelled feet echoed softly across the floor, close enough to the cadence of his speech that Vouette kept glancing up, half expecting him to be talking to her. I don't know, she admitted. Plead with the judges, perhaps? Ask them to act, to fight? Her shoulders sagged as the words left her. You gave your account, Ryland said. I presented the evidence. The judges must decide what is best for Sanctuary and themselves. Our task remains unchanged. What continued loading equipment, hands moving more out of habit than purpose. It feels like failure, she said. They've already taken so many worlds. Perhaps we stop them from taking one more? And even here, they had enough influence to stand against the judges, if only barely. Their power will be diminished, but she hesitated. I cannot escape the feeling that we have already lost again. Ryland set aside the crate he was sealing and stepped towards her. He placed his hands gently on her shoulders, waited until she stilled, then pulled her into an embrace. They stood that way in silence for nearly a minute before he spoke. I will not pretend this is a victory, he said quietly, but it will wound them deeply. Even if we fail on Earth, this will trouble them for years, and that matters. But will they even care? Gouet asked, gripping him tightly. Losing Sanctuary, will that truly mean anything to them? Ryland considered before answering. I do not believe the judges will carry this fight to Earth, or to any Shaper stronghold. But the Shapers are finished here. They will no longer walk openly through Sanctuary's halls. They will hide, and they will lose influence, and they will lose access. What was once a river will become a trickle. Gouet pulled back slightly, searching his face. They are done here, Ryland said, a faint curve touching his lips. They will continue as a group, but not as an avalanche. Only as debris still sliding downhill. This is a victory, even if it feels like retreat. She nodded slowly and returned to her work, the heaviness in her chest easing into something fragile and uncertain, but hopeful. What about Orla? She asked suddenly. Ryland blinked. What about Orla? Click Click paused and released a deliberate hum, followed by several sharp snaps. Understanding dawned. Her duty is to Sanctuary, Ryland said quietly. She will remain here, a judge, as she always has been. She won't come with us? Gouet asked hesitantly. No, he said gently. I do not think she can, or will. It is unlikely we will meet her again. Gouet sealed the final crate without hiding her disappointment. Even Click Click seemed to sense the loss. He lifted the box effortlessly, carrying it back into the container with a sudden rhythm to his steps. He climbed into the container and lifted the last box effortlessly, a subdued rhythm to his steps. They finished their work in silence. When the workshop stood empty, they paused to take it in. The place that had been their shelter, their refuge, their fragile foothold in Sanctuary. Gouet's eyes were damp. Her breathing was heavy, not from labor, but from grief. Click Click broke the quiet with a low, sorrowful hum. Are you certain you wish to come with us? Ryland asked him. Click Click turned sharply and answered with urgent, insistent notes. Ryland nodded once. Then, he said softly, let us return to Earth. Part 2. We will not be abandoning our mission here. Mora's voice was steady, but there was an edge beneath it now, something brittle and dangerous. She pulled Venrian into one of the small conference rooms off the bridge and darkened the glass walls with a gesture, sealing them away from most of the crew's eyes. She knew a few specialists might still hear fragments of what was said. She no longer cared. What mattered was that this was not the open bridge where Venrian had burst in and announced disaster to half of her command. I do not think you understand, Venrian said. The judges of Sanctuary know of the wells, of the Noctium, of everything. They will banish us, all of us. For a moment, Mora thought of striking him, not from anger alone, but from disappointment. She mastered herself with the same discipline that had built the Shapers from ash and blood. If she had intended to flee, she would have done so a century ago when Ryland first uncovered the truth. Not now, not when they stood on the edge of another harvest. Control yourself, Fenrian, she said sharply. We are Shapers. She paced once, then stopped before him. If what you say is true, then the World Breaker will be here on Earth, and he will oppose us. She could not bring herself to say Ryland's name. Ryland is dead, Fenrian said, though the words carried no conviction. Mora gave a short, humorless laugh. You do not believe that. She shook her head slowly. He left us nearly a century ago, and has worked against us ever since. The Noctium is unforgivable to him. He is not dead. He is hiding. Fenrian stared at her, unsettled by the certainty in her voice. You believe the judges simply found the wells, stumbled upon them? Mora continued. You think it was chance? She exhaled sharply. Ryland led us here. Every step he intends to end the Noctium, and if necessary, the Shapers themselves. Her gaze hardened. That is why we must destroy him. End the last illusion that we can be challenged. But, Fenrian began, then faltered. But what? Mora snapped. He is one man, even with allies, even with the children, even with judges. We are the Shapers. We span 1,000 worlds. We number in the billions. There is no force in the universe capable of standing against us. Fenrian nodded slowly. I will request reinforcements, additional incursion ships. We will harvest this world and move on, as we always have. The words were correct. His posture was not. Mora studied him a moment, then shook her head. Stand straight. Conduct yourself like a commander. Her voice softened only slightly. Sanctuary is a setback, a costly one. I regret the loss of your team, but I need you focused. If you lose control now, you lose us what we have left. She turned and left him alone in the darkened room. When the door opened onto the bridge, she found half the crew pretending not to listen. Back to work, she barked loudly. Silence fell instantly. Selfish, Emrystil, with me. Emrystil rose, saluted without hesitation, and followed. Selfish lingered, then raised a hand timidly. What about Venrian? She asked. He has other duties to attend to, Mora said, already moving past her. We still have a mission, and we will not fail. Selfish glanced at Emrystil, searching for doubt. She found none. The man matched Mora's stride with mechanical precision, and they left the bridge. Selfish followed, several steps behind, unease tightening in her chest as she wondered, for the first time, who she was becoming, and whether there would ever be a way back.